how fast I drove through Alabama, and then, well, I got out of Mississippi in a flash. Then I saw Welcome to Alabama. Suddenly it was Welcome to Florida. It went really fast. I wanted to see a little more of Alabama. The city, Mobile, looked like it was, a metropolis when I drove through. And then I went through the tunnel. Very nice, pleasant drive. It's a Monday, so it's not a lot of traffic out here at 11 o'clock in the morning. It's just a pleasant drive on a sunny day. I'm already in Florida, as I said, and it says the temperature is 56 degrees. So I'm not gaining a lot of warmth. I've already driven through Pensacola. Pensacola is always just makes me yearn to be on the water again. I'm a water girl. I love being out there. So I saw some boats, houses on the shore, all the things. And now, of course, in Florida, how many campers can you fit on a highway is the question. Everyone wants a super camper. I remember my dad saying he wanted to get us a camper, and my mother said no thanks. She said she had a hard enough time keeping one house clean, so let alone two. She just didn't want to be bothered. I understand. I am about 200 miles from my destination. So it's going to be a nice little early afternoon arrival. I thought I would take the time to talk to you now about my book review and why I have essentially abandoned it, at least in terms of my commitment to discuss that book titled Just Don't Marry One. Why did I do that? It's not the topic of interracial relationships that disturbed me. It was more or less the feelings that it brought back in my experience about, I grew up in a very turbulent time socially, I think, where racism wasn't exactly a stranger when I was a kid. Your parents did what they could to protect you from it and help you avoid it, but it was still there in subtle ways. And what triggered me really was a thought question that the book offered, asking this: when did you first become aware of your race? Question mark. When did you first become aware of your race? And I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it again. And the earliest recollection is when I was in Montessori school. My mom was a kindergarten teacher at the time. Well, really for the rest of my life at that point. And if you remember the old classrooms back then, every kindergarten classroom had its own bathroom, set of bathrooms, and its own sink. Whether it was for art supplies or washing your hands, it was a sink. And some of them even had water fountains. And at my mom's school, she had precisely that. It was a new add-on to an old building and so on. And I had gone to the bathroom. I came out. And the lady who was her teaching assistant, her name was Gladys Randolph, the sweetest woman you would ever meet. And she and my mother worked together for years and years and years. And I remember I came out of the bathroom, and I don't know what pushed me to do it, but I started washing my face with the soap, trying to get the skin color off. Trying to wash away my skin tone. And Mrs. Randolph saw it, and she called my mother, and they both came over, and my mother just hugged me. She said, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I just couldn't even talk about it, but it was the first time I became aware that I wasn't like everyone else in my class. I think at that point my mother decided it was time she intervened and took action, obviously. And the funny thing is, look at me now, right? How much civil rights hair can a person have? But that's the first time I became aware of race. The second time, I was much older, and as opposed to preschool, and my parents had dropped us off at the skating rink. And this particular skating rink, I don't even know if they're open anymore in Richmond, but there was a part you had to walk around to get to the far wall where they had hooks for you to hang your coat, your bag, or whatever. They had lockers too, but that's where I was going to go hang my coat. But we were just arriving with all the other kids, and I was waiting in a queue, basically a line to get to the coat racks, the coat hooks. And I was just standing there talking to my sister, and I could feel my hand. I had like a severe pain in my hand. When I looked down, a boy, a white boy, to say it, was burning his cigarette into the back of my hand. Yes, back when you could smoke inside and children smoked at school, all of that. And you probably can't see it now, but there's a mark on my hand still today. And he and his friends laughed. I did not know them. Nothing, just pure meanness. So when we talk about interracial relationships, and when did these thought questions, and what is your first impression when you see an interracial couple? What happens if someone outside your race approaches you? How do you feel? What do you think? All of that. And it's a legitimate question, frankly. You're taking on a challenge when you say yes to an interracial relationship. If you go back to a video that I posted early on, I think it was about the second video, if I'm not mistaken, to talk about the book, I mentioned that I've dated outside my race more than once. And when I got to the white guy, the Caucasian, I mentioned that we had a relationship. Nothing happened, essentially, that it's going to validate me saying we dated. We didn't date. I knew him because we worked together, and we remained close for a long while, but he knew in his soul that I could not reconcile the race thing. I just couldn't. And he's such a nice man. He's fun, he's funny, polite, all the things. And I could not avail myself to an interracial relationship with a man of what we say no color. Yes, he has pigmentation to whatever degree, but he doesn't have any melanin. So he wasn't a man of color, and I just felt that those things, you never know what triggers you. You never know what triggers you. And I grew up way out in the county where if you didn't get brown sugar, then you never had sugar. That was the mentality. It's changed a lot now, I'm happy to say, or at least I hope so. All indications seem to point to the fact that things have indeed changed in my community. I still love my community very much. I wouldn't trade it for the world because I learned a lot and I grew up in peace. But it was my parents who brought that peace. It wasn't just peaceful all by itself. It was my neighbors. It was, in our little cluster on our road, all of the parents seemed to take on the village mentality of raising us. We go from yard to yard, riding bikes and doing whatever. One of our neighbors, she would make us eat ice cream outside. She said we sweating too much. And another neighbor, we used to ride around. That was the best yard to race bikes. Our yard was good for playing dodgeball or baseball or whatever. And nice childhood, very nice childhood. Back to the book. That's why I just had to stop and gather myself and gather my thoughts and focus on the subject. But I think we have to imagine and accept the fact that we are human beings and we have to own our feelings, own the triggers, all the things that go into what makes us who we are. So I'm human. I had to take a break and not connect my previous experience with what was supposed to be an objective discussion about a book. But once those thought questions were read through and I started trying to answer them for myself, the rest faded away. I wasn't even reading into it the biblical perception and commentary on, or observed commentary on, interracial relationships. Excuse me, I still have a cold. It's not as bad as before, but it's still working on me. I'm sure I'll be fine for the rest of the trip, but tonight I plan to get in bed again early to get my voice back, because it's going to start failing by tomorrow. Every time I get a cold, I end up with bronchitis, and then I don't have a voice for 2 or 3 days. So let me get out of these people's way. There's a very good looking camper in front of me towing a very good looking Jeep, and I'm not mad. So Fleetwood, all right, Fleetwood, come through, Discovery. So let me get out of the I blacked out there for a moment. I'm not sure what got captured or what didn't, but the screen just went black for no reason. I may have switched towers. I'm told that that can happen. I don't know if that's true or not. But we're back together now. And no, the clock didn't restart. So I guess we're together. Tallahassee. I wonder what it has in store for me. Meeting new people. The dance community is alive. Water sports. HBCU life. 3 great reasons to like Tallahassee. I passed a few places coming in Pensacola. I think I might have to get back to Pensacola again. When I lived in West Palm, I used to take Alligator Alley across to the Gulf Coast and then go north to go back to Virginia to visit. So I'm not a stranger to the area, but I definitely, man got out of his car. I definitely want to see it again in peace and without being on a schedule. It's a great weekend spot, I think. Someone asked me, changing channels again, someone asked me why do I talk so slow? And I take all these breaks in between and yada, 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 yada. The reason, my friends, is because I have lived in so many different places that speak different languages, English not being the native language, that I have adopted a pace of speaking to make sure that I'm understood. And well, right now I'm breaking because I'm also driving, but I try to speak at a pace where I can be easily understood and give a person a chance to digest chunks of what I'm saying and then get the whole message. If I talk in my normal pace, or what was, since I seem to have lost it, my normal pace, I have to repeat myself several times. So this way I only have to say it once, and the person is not feeling embarrassed or uncomfortable or as if they're being tricked by something that they just didn't catch. So that way I just pace myself and speak at a slower rate. That's all. That's all. One thing I've noticed on the road here on 10 is the beauty of the rest stops in Florida. They look like little resorts, palm trees. They tell you how many parking spaces are available to the truckers, places to take pictures, posed up, selfies. At one time when I was growing up, the only sign you saw that said that you wanted to take a picture in front of was the welcome to fill in the blank. Welcome to Florida, welcome to Alabama, welcome to wherever. But we used to have to pull over to take that picture. There was no such thing as a cell phone, let alone using your camera as you pass. It would just be a blur. The shutter speed wasn't fast enough to capture that. Wow, look at these apartments. Nice. A lot of road work. If you look over my shoulder, you might see it while I'm passing. Looks like they're doing road improvement and widening. So I guess when it's all said and done, this will be 5 lanes over here going east and then 5 going west. That's my guess. Very nice. I've been to Florida many times. I've driven through Florida many times, but this is the first time I've used 10 to get to Florida. So this is a journey of discovery for me. You like to travel? You like road travel? What's the best road trip you've ever been on, and what was the route? That's a question I want to ask you. So if you put it in the comments below, I'll check it out. You never know. I might be writing you back asking for places to stay and places to eat. If you have not liked, commented, subscribed, or shared this channel, please do. If you've been watching me for any period of time, you know how hard it was for me to remember to say that and get it all out without stuttering. Because I never remember the order to say it in. At least now I got all the boxes checked. Next time I'm going to figure out in what order am I supposed to say it. I think it should be in terms of your priorities. Do you want people to like and subscribe and then comment and share? Or do you want them to like, comment, subscribe, and share? I vote for subscribe first, like second, comment third, and share fourth. But the other YouTubers, they say it in a whole different order. I'm sure there's a reason for it. I don't know what it is, but that's what I think. Air Force Armament Museum. All right. The arms. What do you think about the military? Tell me that. It's such a necessary thing, and we think the military is just a career choice. No, they have a specific mission. And I hope if you know of a veteran, you're married to a veteran, you love a veteran, you like a veteran, please encourage them to join and be actively, keyword actively, involved in the American Legion. I'm in the auxiliary. My dad was in the Navy. And it's important that they join because, advocacy. The American Legion advocates for Veterans Affairs. So we have to have a lobbying group, right? Second reason is moral support. A lot of the soldiers, active or inactive, retired, career, whatever, they need support. You don't know what they've been through. Everyone's not cut out to be a soldier, but many end up in the military or drafted, even worse. So they need help and they need support. Even if you just spend time at the post, having conversation, being a listening ear, an empathetic ear, it helps. They have activities that they want to, civic activities, supporting local schools and so on, and they need help assembling we women, master organizers. But I would add to that that the auxiliary is not just for women. Don't ever believe that. It's also for men. It is a designation for you as a military, the child of a military service person, the spouse, or I don't think they do it with siblings. You have to check that. But it's very important that you understand that the auxiliary is more than just a social organization. I encourage you to join if you can, support if you can, encourage others who have a military background to join. And finally, I would say the other reason to join is benevolence. Families of and the service person themselves are beneficiaries of a benevolence program that assists them financially for a period of time, and the money is earmarked to do that. It's not a long process. They're very reactive. They don't, waste time investigating every little corpuscle of your circumstance. And I think you would really, really appreciate, if you were in this situation, being able to tap into a resource to give you relief, however temporary. Very important organization. So shout out to Post 144 in Sandston. That's it. I don't really have much else I wanted to talk about. Just the 2 or 3 little pieces of my thoughts off my post-it notes. And I hope I said something that resonates with you. And I have not said anything that will offend anyone for any reason. I'll get back to you. The journey continues. Over and out. Bye for now.